Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and all I can say is get ready for the show trials. I wish I had a better assessment of this. I wish I could say that Australia was going to swoop in and assure us that Julian Assange would not be extradited into the United States based on fabricated charges of cyber terrorism. But just today, yes, just today, the InJustice Department has released a revised indictment for Julian Assange. Now, there's a couple really odd things about this. You would think that with these assertions would come new charges. However, there aren't any new charges. No, this is more of not only a PR campaign to assert that Julian Assange is some kind of cyber terrorist, now bringing Lulzec and Anonymous into the mix, right? But also furthering going after other organizations that would be what? Public disclosure organizations, and acting like the intelligence agencies and the private companies that work on behalf of them and the predator class are actually the victims. They're the victims. Now, before we go over this, we read the Justice Department little press release that went along with the indictment, etc. I want to remind everybody, we are fully demonetized on this platform. We are one of the only channels talking about Julian Assange on a consistent basis. And I want to give a big shout out to Action for Assange and Steve Poikonen from Slow News Day, who actually texted me this story a few hours ago. Steve, I may not have texted you back, but obviously I checked it out and was very, very upset about it. So let's check it out together. Remember, guys, $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Big donations. Make sure to thumb it up. Become a member of the Burmis Brigade. We're on that way to 55K, and like I said, we will definitely do a 55K AMA. So, they talk about this superseding indictment against Assange, all right? And this is a real problem. First of all, the other indictment that is trying to say he is a cyber hacker has proved nowhere that he hacked anything. Instead, they have broadened the language to tell you that anybody that would encourage people to disclose things, no matter how illegal, how immoral, no matter how bad those war crimes were, if those are classified U.S. documents, you stay the hell out. You shut your mouth. You dare not expose us. You dare not expose us. And remember, we did a video a few weeks ago how in 2013, Eric Schmidt wrote specifically about WikiLeaks and specifically how the U.S. intelligence apparatuses would go after organizations, especially WikiLeaks, and prosecute them as heavily as they possibly could while encouraging leaks about their enemies. So, I just want to pop this up here for everybody to check out. This is the Justice Department's official release. All right, we're going to read it. A federal grand jury returned a second superseding indictment today charging Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, with offenses that relate to Assange's alleged role in one of the largest compromises of classified information in the history of the United States. The new indictment does not add additional counts to the prior 18-count superseding indictment returned against Assange in May 2019. So then what is this really for? Again, it is to expand the definition of what a cyber hacker is. It is to fully eviscerate the idea that whistleblowers can even exist in this system anymore. Or those that are not whistleblowers and simply publishers like Julian Assange and WikiLeaks from exposing the information that they provide. It does, however, broaden the scope of the conspiracy surrounding alleged computer intrusions with which Assange was previously charged. According to the charging document, Assange and others at WikiLeaks recruited and agreed with hackers to commit computer intrusions to benefit WikiLeaks. No, that is not what happened. WikiLeaks had contacts within these organizations and wanted to publish their documents, which were 100% real. And who cares if they encouraged that? These are criminals they were exposing and continue to expose, and that's the problem. You don't like that, do you, predator class? You don't like that media, military, industrial complex, do you? Benefit WikiLeaks. How about benefit the world populace by exposing the crimes of that predator class? You make me sick. Since the early days of WikiLeaks, Assange has spoken at hacking conferences to tout his own history as a famous teenage hacker in Australia and to encourage others to hack to obtain information for WikiLeaks. Good. In 2009, for instance, Assange told the Hacking at Random conference that WikiLeaks had obtained non-public documents from the Congressional Research Service by exploiting a small vulnerability inside the document distribution system of the United States Congress, and that asserted that this is what any one of you would find if you were actually looking. So what? Good. I'm glad he was encouraging people to look into the corruption of my Congress. Good. In 2010, Assange gained unauthorized access to a government computer system of a NATO country. I'd love to see the evidence of that. Okay, I'd love to see the evidence that Assange himself gained unauthorized access to NATO. And if he did, good for him. Again, that's a NATO country. That is not United States law. Do you understand? Do you understand how this goes beyond the scope of the United States? In 2012, Assange communicated directly with a leader of the hacking group Lulzsec, who by then was cooperating with the FBI and provided a list of targets for Lulzsec to hack. So what? So what? With respect to one target, Assange asked the Lulzsec leader to look for and provide to WikiLeaks mail and documents, databases, and PDFs. Standard. Standard. If I was a newspaper or I was a media outlet on television and I was going to tell your story, I would need what? Documents, files, PDF, evidence. It's just like yesterday when we did the video on the allegations against Jeff Ross. Now, there are some of you out there that will come at me and say, I don't go after the real child predators. I've been doing this well over 10 years, and guess what? I do go after the real child predators. I just wait until there's actually evidence against these people and not just spout off what some make-believe man behind a message board told me. Okay? I have something called discernment. So we did the Jeff Ross video. It's 20 plus minutes long, and we went through the evidence. You get to make your own decision. You do. Okay? That's the deal. I want evidence, and so does WikiLeaks. Nowhere here does it show that he hacked these things with Lulzsec. In another communication, Assange told the Lulzsec leader that the most important release of hack materials would come from the CIA, NSA, or the New York Times. Yeah, 3 extremely corrupt organizations that work hand in hand with one another on many a psyop. Many an intelligence operation against the American populace. Yeah, good. Good. WikiLeaks obtained the published emails from a data breach committed against an American intelligence consulting company by an anonymous and Lulzsec affiliated hacker. So then they broaden the scope even more. You see that? Anonymous and Lulzsec affiliated hacker. There's an affiliation somehow. They're always moving the goalpost further and further and further and further and further and as far as they can to try to put everybody under this umbrella of control. And then they try to make those agencies and that newspaper out to be what? The victim. Give me a break. According to that hacker, Assange indirectly asked him to spam that victim company again. How did Assange indirectly ask you anything? And if you're a hacker associated or affiliated with Lulzsec and Anonymous, why aren't you just an Anonymous and Lulzsec hacker? Give me a break. In addition, the broadened hacking conspiracy continues to allege that Assange conspired with Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to crack a password hash to a classified U.S. Department of Defense computer. Again, they talked about a password. They talked about a password. And this is how they're going to contrive this entire indictment. I'm going to say it again, folks. If they bring Assange to this country, it is not a fair trial. It has never been a fair trial in that district. 100% conviction rate where they want to send him. 100%. Not a U.S. citizen. Do you think that's a fair trial? Or do you think that's a show trial for authoritarianism and to let you know you do not live in a constitutional republic? You do not live in a world that encourages the rule of law and war criminals to be exposed. Instead, you live in a world that those people are protected minions of the predator class, and if you dare stand up against them, they will crush you. Folks, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs it up, subscribe, share, join the Burmist Brigade. I want to remind everybody once again, I am fully 100% demonetized on this platform. $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Big donors, I need you now. More than ever, we're almost done with the month. It doesn't look like we're actually going to hit the $5,000 goal, even though I would have really liked to. But we're going to truck on and we're going to keep pushing forward. And I want to remind everybody, guys, there's a lot of big videos out there that I hope you're checking out. You know, when Twitter calls the story of a UFC veteran being raised outside of foster care by a white man sensitive content and censors that content, that's a big story. That should be a national story. I'm the only one covering it. Please check out that video. Jeff Ross, he's denied these allegations. Why aren't they all over the place? She sure provided a lot of evidence, okay? And then GMO mosquitoes and Bill Gates. You know, there are some in the mainstream media that are now just starting to whisper Bill Gates' name. I've been talking about him for well over 10 years. I have a large section of them in my film, Shade the Motion Picture, which you can check out right here, right now, in the playlist section, okay? But how many of you knew that they're about to release his GMO mosquitoes in Florida and then Houston, and he's got a 2-year pass by the EPA? A man who was talking about revolutionizing health and education over a decade ago, and now my state is supposedly the guinea pig for that. Makes me sick. Makes me sick. Make sure to go check me out on Rockfin and Minds as well. Guys, again, this is an issue that affects every single one of us. Every single one of us. And it discourages me greatly that I can't get 100 people out in the streets for Julian Assange, when this supersedes any liberal or conservative bias, right? Forget about, oh, I'm being censored because I'm on Twitter and I'm going to vote for Trump. This is the Trump administration going after him. All right? You got to get away from this idea that everything is black and white, that superheroes on message boards are going to save you. That somehow, you know, I've had those argue with me that once Julian Assange gets here, you know, that's when the deep state's finally going down. You're mentally ill. That is not what's happening here. Everything you see happening is the real deal. So, guys, I love you. Share this info, and I'll see you on the flip side.